Hi, this is Lisa Griffin of Eastern Connecticut Savings Bank. Do you use your debit card for everyday purchases? If so, find out how you can earn rewards for that activity with Kasasa Cashback checking from Eastern Connecticut Savings Bank. Why settle for a boring checking account when you can Kasasa? Check out our Kasasa Cashback checking and find out how easy it is to earn rewards. For more information, visit bankeasternct.com or stop by any of our branch locations today. Eastern Connecticut Savings Bank, member FDIC. Do you Kasasa?
My name's Rich Grabowski. I am the Democratic nominee for the position of selectman here in Griswold for the coming election on November 7th.
And I'm Tina Falk, candidate for first selectman for the town of Griswold, endorsed by the Democratic Town Committee. We are committed to easing stress on Griswold's children, family, and seniors by working hard to obtain development, grants, and fiscal responsibility.
We are the team that will restore unity in our community.
And most of all, don't forget to vote on November 7th.
Paid for by the Griswold Democratic Town Committee, Linda Cody, Treasurer.
Is it safe to visit the dentist? In a word, yes, especially if that dentist is Dr. Katzoff and the staff at Griswold Dental Associates. They follow all the latest safety protocols while doing what they do best, taking care of you. From preventive to restorative, your dental care couldn't be in better hands. To schedule your appointment, call Griswold Dental Associates today, 860-376-2626. That's 860-376-2626.
Can you hear us now? Can you hear us now? How about now? Yeah, this has been very, very... There we go. Now we're there. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right. I don't know why it's been skipping around lately. So, Tom, say something.
Yep.
All right. All right. Anyway, we're all there. Good. And everybody has gone ahead and concurred. So, good morning. We said who's got their volume?
I'm trying to kill my damn thing here. I was looking for SNSN to see if you had voice.
Well, somebody's got their volume on somewhere.
Okay. Should be gone now, Mike.
Are we there? Yeah. Okay, good. Well,
Let's try it again.
let's do this. All right. So listen, the Wasliks are in Vegas, so they're not going to be here today, obviously. And Paul Lash is not here. He's never here on a Thursday anyway, but there's a reason why he's not here with the Economic Development Committee, and he is on the commission. The reason for that is because since he's on here as a regular contributor, minimum 3 days a week, I didn't think it would be cool to have him on, with you guys and kind of running double duty, so like Jim, you're on like maybe once every couple of weeks just to come on and you're never on. So, you know what I mean? You're just out of the commission. So
Right. I like to come on and agitate you.
and you do a damn good job of that. You and your million air miles. So we have the dapper and debonair Jim Barney and the handsome Tom Girard from the Economic Development Commission here in Griswold. Gentlemen, how are you? Good morning.
Doing very well. Good morning.
Very good. As I keep saying, Mike, I'm doing well as a young person and absolutely fabulous as an old man.
That's right. We're not circling the drain. We're doing good. We're still here. So we're going to get right into it because economic development has been such a hot topic
For
In
years.
but especially now, because I think in the last couple of years, I've noticed it in the last couple of years, things seem to be like, now I'm not saying it's you guys. I don't know who it is, but it's like I see it all the time. I see it every day from residents, that come in on this show and they participate, is what's going on with economic development. We don't see anything. We don't see anything happening. We see things happening in Plainfield. We see things happening in Lisbon, but nothing is happening in Griswold. Yeah, we get a store popping up here and there, and and stores leaving every so often.
No big things.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So one of the and I'm Tom, I'm going to ask you. I'm just going to put it out to you. One of the biggest things we hear: what happened to the data centers?
All right. Okay. I'll take a step back before we answer that question.
Go for it. Sure.
What happens to economic development? Without pointing fingers at any particular entity.
No, we don't want to point
person.
fingers or nothing like that.
That's not what we're here for. But the biggest problem that it's hard to get your arms around is the fact that we have very limited land available for development. You look at Griswold and you say, yeah, we got plenty of land that has water, sewer, utilities, basically your infrastructure. Yeah. We don't have a lot. Okay. And what we do have is controlled by basically three people. One, two, three. They're priced too high. So even though over the course of time, EDC, myself, Jim, bring developers in. We bring them in. They look, they talk, they make offers, and they come back and they say, gee, we'd love to develop here in Griswold, love to set up this, that. The land's too high. So now, how do you overcome the fact that you might have a tract of land, let's just say hypothetically, it's 100 acres, and it's worth a certain amount, and it's marketed at sometimes double. How do you sell it?
Or triple.
Or triple. How do you sell that land? Biggest problem is, I know you know enough about, most people realize this, when you sell land of any kind, the value is based on the comps. The last person sold and here's the price.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't any comps for what the prices they're asking. So
They've had this land for years.
oh, well,
In some
in
cases.
some cases, yeah. In other cases, they picked it up at
At a bargain price.
At a bargain price, but now they think it's worth a fortune. I mean, I'll throw it out there. 1 acre parcel, okay? They want $1 million for it. 1 acre. How do you you can't justify it. You can't find buyers. The buyers are available. I know Jim knows this. I talk to real estate agents weekly. I talk to developers maybe every couple of weeks. They call me, right? Because I'm chairman of the Economic Development Commission, and I'm also director, going way back 7, 8 years, director of economic development. So I hold 2 positions. Most of the developers and real estate agents know who I am, and I have a 24/7 phone calling me. The answer is pricing is so high you can't find buyers. That's it.
So what you're saying is that it's not the town that's stopping or
No,
slowing economic development. It's the residents themselves.
it's the landowners, the people who own the commercial land or the land that is in close proximity to the infrastructure.
Okay.
And the other thing, Mike, is that the infrastructure, as we continue to keep talking about, is not there. Tom and I went out, about 4 years ago, and we sold a program on the infrastructure, and the townspeople got strongly behind that. Okay. Then we had COVID, and that messed up everything. But beyond that, we got advice from the USDA to separate the water and the sewer. Okay. So that's what we did. And we had that partly all engineered. And then the people in the USDA changed, and they changed what they said. Now they said, combine the water and the sewer. Okay. So now we're back into that status again.
Yeah, and the other thing,
You're talking about 164.
Yes.
at 164. And the other thing is the USDA had everybody retire, and they all retired. So you had all new faces. You got to acclimate everybody.
You gotta start all over again.
Right, exactly. So that's an issue. And then Jim mentioned the effort we put into it a couple of years ago, the bonding. We went out. We were on public access. I think here in your studio.
At the old place. Yeah.
At the old place, right? And it was, and we combined it with the senior center, so it was all good. The bonding went through, but unfortunately, I'll just throw it out here. It's a controversial statement I'm going to make, but as soon as you get to a point where you can spend some money, whoever the political structures in the driver's seat thinks about the next election. Do I really want to spend money now? It may not be looking good in the next election. Unfortunately, you end up with, as soon as you're elected to a position, you start looking at the next election. What do we have to do now to make sure I try to win the next time around? You got to have backbone. You have to take and make big steps. Sometimes it costs you, but the benefit to the community is what you gain.
Well, we have gained some pretty cool things in town that I think that really help marketing the town. Is like the new senior center over the last few years.
Oh, absolutely. But that money came from,
well, wherever it came from. I'm just talking about things that are new assets to the town.
Absolutely.
That the new multi-purpose athletic field, which the grand opening is tomorrow.
Yeah.
These are things, the whole school complex with the sign out front. I mean, just the imagery.
Yep.
Of the town has changed.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot. So now you have I'm, for example, I'm not going to put your nose to the grindstone and say, okay, this is it. But I'm going to assume that one of the properties that we may be talking about is maybe like the flag property right next to you. I'm not asking you to say yes or no, right next to Petromax. I've heard many occasions that the guy just wants too much damn money for it. But here's the thing. Is he waiting for the infrastructure to go in, and does he think he's going to get paid at that point? Is or anybody, do you think that they're waiting for the infrastructure to go in and then go ahead and they think that they're going to be able to sell the land at a higher price because it's more marketable.
As an investor, Mike, that would be exactly what I was doing. Okay. I would say, hey, I got this infrastructure coming down. When this infrastructure comes down, the value of my property is going to double or triple, whatever it might be. Okay.
Right.
Go ahead,
But that's not really how it works.
That's why I'm asking.
It becomes,
How does it work?
Yeah, it becomes more sellable.
Mhm.
Okay. Perhaps at the right price. But the prices that are laid out on the properties that, here again, the little property, we don't have a lot of property for economic development. Plainfield does. Plainfield's a flat, big area. We don't. So is it going to be worth more with infrastructure?
Sure.
I don't think so. I think the
Okay.
prices that are on the property right now are grossly too high, chase away buyers, developers, and you're going to put the infrastructure, you're going to say, that's fine, but why am I going to pay you 2 or 3 times the value? Did the value go up
Mhm.
because you have a sewer water going by your property? I don't think so.
Well, maybe because it's more developable.
Yeah, but
Well, look at the stop property, Ceruzzi. I mean, they have owned that for how long now? There's nothing going on but weeds.
right. But in reality, without throwing numbers on the table or anything like that, they've had very good offers. Good offers.
I'm sure.
And they want more. They want more. But they're out of the area. You know, they're
In Stanford.
They're in New York. Yeah, they're up the other.
And there was another thing without any names, and that was that somebody threw some wrenches in some of the gears, okay, and screwed up a couple of deals.
So now the other question, the
Moving on.
data centers.
Yes, sir.
Okay, data centers. What really happened, to my best of my knowledge, is that the amount of electricity that these buildings need to function was more than they could get to the site. Just recently, a week ago, I was talking to somebody here in town, and they said, "Jay, the town turned them down." No, the town of Griswold, to my best knowledge, and Jim and I worked on it, supported all the requests were granted. The support was there from going back in the administration. You know, we got back then we had different administration we have now. You and I sat at P&Z meetings and promoted economic development for the data centers. The bottom line is, to my knowledge, they couldn't conceivably get enough electricity to the site on 164. They just couldn't get it there.
Now, weren't there other sites that they were looking at?
Yeah. Well, you probably, I'm sure you've read.
Polinsky's?
Yeah. Same problems. When I asked the question, I go, well, what would you have to do to get it there? And they said, these big metal towers with the multiple big cables, they would have to put that up. They'd have to pay for it to run from whatever location to the site. Astronomical amount of money. So what do? They go to Waterford. They build right next to Millstone. So, in a joking manner, they run an extension cord from Millstone, plug it in, and they're in business. Why were they going to come to Griswold? Okay, number one. Recently, they're up in the Danielson area. Well, to my knowledge, there's a generating facility that runs off of the trash incinerator. They're going to set right up there, run an extension cord there. So it was,
Extension cord.
yeah, why not? How else you going to explain it? But that is really what happened. It's not that the town did anything negative, did everything positive. It's a matter of electrical service.
It's been the infrastructure all along. I mean,
Which
From what
you and I have had that
sure.
discussion
I mean,
many
I've
times
only
over.
been down here for 20 years, okay, but I hear there was people more than 20 years ago that tried to promote infrastructure, and it just kept getting shot down.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the amount of, let's talk about electricity for a minute.
Yep.
Now, I haven't even talked to JCDP. I haven't talked to Ken Sullivan at all about any of this. Because whenever I see him, it's zoom, zoom, zoom. He's high by. He's always zipping around. With the world trying to convert everything to electrical power as opposed to using fossil fuels. What, if we can't do something like this, how far behind the curve are we? Now, they want everybody to have electric cars now by what, 2035?
Yeah, I've heard all kinds of
so
dates, yes.
all right, there's so many different things that they want to convert to electrical power, yet here we are in 2023 and we can't put a data center up. So what does that say for our economic development coming in the next 10, 15 years?
Well, it's not just our economic development.
I'm not worried about anybody else. I'm worried about Griswold.
Well, it's,
you know what I mean?
Be the problem nationwide.
Right, but what do we do if we know the problem? You know what I mean?
Why the data center originally looked at Griswold?
Right.
Because Griswold, Jewett City,
Municipality.
right?
You cut a deal. I know all about it.
Electric. Okay, it was cheaper.
Yep.
Okay, but they couldn't get the amount that they needed.
Right.
That is the issue. Okay, we don't have a problem with electrical. If you want to open up a bike shop, you want to open up any reasonable, another hotel, electricity is available. It's not like we're short and the light bulbs are going to go out tomorrow.
No. I realize that.
Yeah,
but 1,000 people have electric cars, and we're all plugging in at the same time.
Yeah, but we're going to be the grid is going to be more. It's a grid. This isn't like Jewett City doesn't have it. The power comes into Jewett City,
So we got to buy more power.
but Jewett City buys it.
Right.
Yeah. We
So
don't. It's available. The state will make it available.
So why didn't we buy more power?
Yeah.
I'm a layman, okay?
Right,
And we're
right.
talking about, if it's supply and demand, right? It's like
Right.
you need this, and this may sound stupid to you guys, but I'm like,
No,
all right,
it's-
if we need electricity,
That's
why don't we get electricity
Right,
and put it in?
it's pretty simple, okay? And that is the grid is not able to support it, okay?
Okay.
We've got a major problem with the grid in this country, and that's a totally different subject if we want to talk about it
Mhm.
someday, all right? But that's the real problem. And all of this electric cars and all of the rest, we are going to have a real problem with electricity.
So the problem isn't a data center. The problem is we're just not set up. We're just not ready for it.
Yeah, that's basically what Tom was saying.
Right. So
Right.
my question is how do we get ready for it?
Well, it's not a Jewett City problem.
No.
It's a nationwide problem. But beyond that point, it's a Eastern Connecticut issue. We
Mhm.
just simply can't for data center. Here again, my little maybe joke about the extension cord. But hey, Millstone does what? That's their job. They create electricity.
Mhm.
We don't have that facility. We buy it. Jewett City Electric buys it.
Mhm.
But because they're part of CMEC, they get it at a discount rate. They just couldn't provide enough of it for the data center. So,
Same thing with the other sites they looked at here in Griswold for the data center.
right.
It's not just 164. You don't have enough power. You don't have enough power for the demands that something like that's going to put on your facility.
Yeah. I'm just looking at some of the comments. Someone's very disrespectful. And they're gone. So
Well,
no, they were disrespectful. One of the comments were, we need, I want to say this in the right way, say maybe people that are younger on the board, maybe a little more go-getting. And then, of course,
Okay.
I'm
Mike,
Okay.
I'm reading the comment.
Let me comment. Make
Go
a
ahead.
short comment.
Then he called you a dinosaur.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Jim and I have been on EDC for quite a while.
Yeah.
And we're older than a lot of people.
Mhm.
There are numerous commissions, boards that need volunteers. You can't get them. The
Well,
guys that they do get are more or less retired,
Let me
like
stop
myself.
you. Hold on for
Go
that
ahead.
because Victoria in the chat room says younger people don't volunteer. So it's exactly what you're just saying. Go ahead.
Yeah. The same. And you know what? They're
That's funny,
working-
people are aligning with what you're saying. so.
Right. But to be a volunteer puts in time. Yeah. You sometimes rub feathers the wrong way. there's some negative sides. You get into the chat rooms and so forth. You're not the favorite person. You work, you coach basketball, baseball. People are busy. People are busy. The younger families, raising families. Some people can handle both. Most people don't want to do it. So you end up with guys like Jim and I that are senior citizens to some degree.
Speak for yourself, Tom.
Okay, Jim. Retired. But the big advantage that we bring is knowledge, experience. And we can see the bigger picture quite often that, let's say, isn't seen all the time.
Okay. Jamie has a question or a statement or a question statement, I guess. It says, I thought it was stated by the first selectman during the debate that we had here, that the data centers would be supplied by Eversource and not JCDPU.
Right. And I kind of alluded to that, the fact that in the beginning of my conversation, but the state wasn't going to put up the towers and everything else. That was at their expense. The data centers had to put up the money to bring the power to the site. How else can you put it? I don't know any financial inside information about the data centers, simply is that they explained to us that the cost of getting the power to the site, the 164 specifically, was beyond what they were comfortable doing.
Okay. And they were comfortable with spending a ton too.
Oh yeah.
So it had to be pretty substantial if they weren't going to do it.
And the town, they had a town host agreement that was passed by the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
That
was back in the school check days, right?
Yeah. And then P&Z, everything was in place. They had pricing with the landowners. It was good. And then when they really sat down and said, okay, what's it going to cost us to get the power there? They couldn't justify it. Not when they can go to other locations.
Right.
Now people got to remember that in the very beginning, when they came to Griswold, they also were looking at Bosra, they were looking at Wallingford, they were looking at Groton.
Anywhere there was a municipality, because they could cut a deal with the electricity.
Right,
Everybody had their
exactly.
own electric
But
company, right?
all of those others fell off the board because the same problem, the source. They couldn't come up with enough source.
I mean, the infrastructure cost escalated unbelievably once COVID came.
Yeah,
I mean, the
that's
water
true.
tower that's going on in 164. Okay, I think the number I've heard is $6 million for the water tower.
It was $3 million at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean everything is practically doubled.
Yeah,
I mean, a piece of OSB, which was $10 for
What's
years.
OSB?
That's that crappy plywood. It's the
Strand board.
okay, and that stuff was up to $50 a sheet. Okay, I mean it's dropped back down now considerably, but plywood is still very expensive.
Yeah, we were looking at like fence panels for our backyard.
Yeah,
and you remember, Mike? Yeah, and it was they were like $20 a panel. Then all of a sudden they were 70.
Yeah,
it's like what?
Yeah, also the data center needed a water tower for fire suppression in there in case something happened in the building. That doubled.
Yeah.
In some cases, I think it might even triple in price wise. So all these things, bad timing. And that water tower was going to be sufficient at their expense to cover economic development all the way down through the Heritage River Village project, which is going to have a lot of apartments. And what that was going to also supply them with fire suppression. So,
so one of the comments here is, should have proposed wire wind. Now I know the answer to that already, or plastic wire and cable location that already had municipal electricity. The problem is, if I'm not mistaken, Wirewind is owned. It's not owned by the town.
No.
It's privately owned. First, it was a guy out of Long Island, Jim Bardia, who was going to put some like.
Which I think he is. I think he still is the owner.
No, I think he sold it.
no, he didn't.
He didn't sell
Did
it.
not
Okay,
sell.
see now I thought he sold it to some people in Jersey.
that was a rumor, yeah.
They came. We met with them several
Okay.
times.
There's gonna be some storage thing or whatever.
Yeah, what they wanted to do is revitalize the spur, the rail spur, open that back up.
Yep.
Either renovate the buildings that are there, which were pretty bad.
Yeah.
We all know, or knock them down and put 'em
Start from
state of the art
scratch,
thing. Financially, the way it was explained to me, their money source dried up and they couldn't follow through on purchasing it. So Jim Bidere still owns it.
So it's privately owned, so there's not really a whole lot you can do about that.
No.
Yeah, of course not. What about plastic wire and cable?
Plastic wire and cable is in a development state right now.
Do we know, or
Yeah, we kind of know in a vague way. You know, they don't give us the true picture.
so? Tell us in a vague way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what they've been doing now
vague,
is
Tom.
they brought in the equipment and they're crunching up the slabs, the cement slabs.
Yeah.
You know, it has a lot of contamination, but in today's world, they don't remove it anymore. They grind it all up, they bury it.
Sure.
So they've been bringing in
Use it as fill almost.
Yeah. But they can keep it on site.
Right.
But they've been bringing in the dredging from the Sound, Long Island Sound, to put on top. Once they finish, in other words, they do an area, they crunch it up, they flatten it out, and they put in the dredge material.
Sure.
It buries it. So it's in the process. They want to put in some housing. This is the best that I know what they're doing, with a little bit of commercial on 201, facing across from
UFC.
UFC, right?
UFC. UCFS.
UCFS. Thank
Oh
you.
my God! Too many letters.
So you know, things
26 of them.
they could complement UCFS with maybe some medical offices on a commercial, basically it's a commercial strip, and then behind that would be, this is in talk. I can't guarantee anything that happens, but housing.
They were actually talking about tiny
houses,
here at one
But
point, which,
that's
which
kind
I
of like a
think is
flash in
gone-
the pan. I think right now I don't think they've that's an actual.
I don't know. A lot of people are downsizing.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that this morning in preparations for this meeting.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mini housing that's going on in other parts of the country.
Yes.
One of the things that we keep hearing here is that we don't have enough rooftops. Okay. And part of that is due to zoning. Okay. When you get 1 and 2 acre zoning, and some places even bigger than that,
Yep.
the cost of the infrastructure just to make those lots buildable is magnificent. It's the same kind of a problem we're talking with the commercial development. So when you got a 2 acre lot and you got one house on it, when on the other hand, if you're doing mini housing, you could put 10 or 20 houses on that.
Sure.
On that 2 acre lot.
I think
Okay?
you'd be very surprised. I think how well they would sell, to be honest with you, because there's so many people that are downsizing out of 3,000 square foot facilities. I mean, you get empty nesters. That the kids are gone.
Yeah.
I mean, Melissa, if you're watching, no, I'm not thinking of this, but we have about 2,800 square feet in our house.
You have that much in your house?
Yeah.
Huh? Wow.
Yeah. So I have one child that is 16 that comes to our house, doesn't live there full time. But her children, there's one that is 22. Well, actually one that's 23. Actually, that works in this building here, but she lives on her own in her own apartment with her boyfriend. Another one is 22 and about to move out at some point within the next year. And then the 19-year-old boy, he wants the hell out now because he's a 19-year-old boy and, whatever. Now, what do? We've talked about this. It's like we're going to have all this. We're going to have 4 bedrooms, and a whole bunch of living space plus a sunroom. What are we going to do with it? Do we keep it or do we downsize?
Good question.
Because it's us, a cat, and 2 dogs.
And families are having less and less children. Okay. So these 4-bedroom mansions are going to become less and less desirable.
Yes. So you see what I mean? So yeah, as far as and Tom, I know the perception of tiny houses are like little campers, but they're also tiny houses that are like 500-600 square feet, kind of almost like elderly housing that you find over on Ashland.
What you're talking about is a practical need, and I think most people would be fine with that.
Yep.
You know, you need both. You need the folks that it comes down to affordability. If you're well greased and you've got that $3,000 house and you don't mind paying the taxes and the upkeep, that's fine. If you like space,
3,000 square feet. Oh, $3,000 house?
no, 3,000
Square feet. Okay. All right. All right.
and you enjoy the space and so
Yes.
forth, that's great.
Sure.
You know, I don't think most people would have a problem with any kind of small, tiny housing. I mean, have you heard anything controversial about it?
No, and I was
No,
gonna,
I haven't. Not here in our community.
I was going to say that, you know, we've had a motorhome for over 20 years.
Yep.
And that motorhome is 36 by 8 plus a slide out on it.
Sure.
Okay. So it's less than 300 square feet. We've lived in that comfortably for the longest time we lived in it was 5.5 months on our Elastic. On
your Alaska drive,
trip.
yeah.
Yeah. And we have a lot of stuff. Okay.
Sure.
If we were going to move into a tiny home, we'd need 25 or 40 dumpsters. Right. Just to,
Yeah, that's kind of my situation too. You accumulate things.
yeah.
I was watching. It was funny that we're even talking about this because I was watching a show last night where there was a couple that lived in Orlando, and one's a financial analyst and the other's a coach, basketball coach or a PE coach for a high school, and they're empty nesters.
Right.
And they're thinking, we're going to downsize. So the whole show was based around building them a tiny home.
Yeah.
And they did. And it's like, everything is great.
We basically traveled with
As long as you
people
can
who-
stand each other.
We traveled with people that have lived in their motorhome
Sure.
for 10 or more years.
What about people that not only just live in their mobile home, but they're just mobile all over the place?
Yeah.
They're just traveling.
But we are
Right.
moving
From
away
place to
from
place.
the infrastructure, from the
I know, but
yeah.
I'm talking about, it's still about like the tiny homes are still not a bad. I don't think they're a bad idea.
No, I don't either. And
No, right. It
And I'm not saying you said they are. I'm just,
no. Right. I go back to what I said a minute ago. I haven't heard any negative from anyone
got it.
about the potential. But going back to the PwC property, it was an idea that floated maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But we don't have any
Yeah. I remember that.
confirmation.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Here is Daryl wants to know, other than the data centers, what other businesses have looked at Griswold lately?
Well,
we've had a number of inquiries about certain parcels for mini marts with and/or truck stops combined. For one thing, I don't know what else you've had, Tom,
That was
Yeah.
in Hopeville, right?
up there for one
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
right. And up on 164, the Ceruzzi property, for those that don't remember,
Which is the old
used-
Stott
Stott's
property.
property. Yeah, it used to be the old Stott property. Very recently, we've had a potential buyer. Pricing, going back to what we talked about earlier, ended up being the key. They still may be interested, but offer made, price goes up. Offer made, price goes up. It doesn't help. But that particular entity had a customer that was going to, once they secured the property, they have not. But if they did, they had a customer for the property.
And that was a cash buyer.
Yeah.
So what are we
A
doing?
cash buyer.
Yeah.
So what are we doing?
What are we doing? We're doing all the stuff.
Is there something that we can do to work with the sellers to
Well, I'll
help
be
them along?
at maybe 3 months ago when we had one of our EDC meetings. And by the way, folks that are listening, come on down to the EDC meetings. Nobody comes.
You're right.
We sit there, 5 people, town planners there, recording secretary, and we look at each other. Come down, bring some ideas, get involved. It's one thing to say, well, volunteers and so forth. You can be a volunteer without being on a committee. You can come and exchange ideas and do some legwork. So I offer that to anybody that comes down. We're the third Wednesday of the month, 7:00 in the town hall conference room downstairs. Anyway, go ahead.
No. like here's a gentleman that's actually in Alabama. One day he said, "Do y'all offer tax breaks? Like, is
Yeah,
there
so-
go ahead.
I was going to say that the Economic Development Commission, we promoted an incentive tax base, which is a really good deal.
Yeah,
I mean, that can start off at 90% reduction in taxes. I'm not
It's
saying
a-
that they have to give that, but it can go that high. And
right.
it can last for 10 years, declining down to 10%.
It's called tax abatement. And
Right.
it's based on the state statute. We copied the state statute. Jim and I sat down probably 10 years ago and promoted it. And the Board of Selectmen at that time approved it. The way it works is the Board of Selectmen is the driving force. They can give 5 years, 8 years, up to 10 years tax abatement, but it's in 10% increments.
Now we're talking about the business that the potential buyer, right? The
For
tax
the
abatements.
developer, for the developer.
Okay, what about for the seller? If they're not going to budge on their price, is there something that we can do with them?
Eminent
No,
domain.
That's
Okay,
Yeah, that came into a,
so what's the problem?
what's the problem is it's a suicide for any, political entity that's running the town. It would require the Board of Selectmen to initiate. It was brought out. In fact, the town planner brought it out at maybe 2 or 3 meetings ago, EDC meetings. That same question came up. We were battering it back and forth. They said, hey, we can do eminent domain. My comment at that time was I don't think the Board of Selectmen has the stomach to do something like that because it costs money. If the owner of the land has some financial wherewithal, they're going to fight. And the town's going to have to come up with some serious legal fees.
And of course, I'm absolutely opposed to eminent domain.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
Because it could happen to you.
No, it isn't going to happen.
No, but I'm just saying, if you're a property owner,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's what I mean.
right.
Property.
I'm not
was-
saying I am in favor of it. You asked the question, what can you do? That's an
that's
option.
always right.
That's an
Right.
option.
I mean, that's like them coming to you and say, well, I think we got a little grocery store that wants your house, so we're going to take it because you don't want to sell it.
Are you going to move me? Give me a tiny
You know,
home.
personal property. I mean, property was always an unviolable right. Okay, in this nation,
Just give me a tiny home. I'll be good. Down by the river.
we'd all be better off.
think so.
You could afford the cruise more.
Yes, I can't wait to go again. There's a question here, and Matthew says, "No, is he on the EDC?
There is a fellow by the name of Matthew on
What's
the
the-
EDC.
What's the
That's
last
him.
name?
Palmer.
That's him. Okay, he said I thought it was voted to be changed to 6:30, or did that change?
I think that's correct. I was going to say that, but I wasn't absolutely positive, and I don't like to correct somebody without being pretty damn sure.
Yeah.
It'll be on the next agenda.
Okay. And I just said, what about tax breaks for the seller?
Yeah, that's got nothing to do with the local people when they sell. I mean, the taxes are only impacting them when they own the property because that goes into the state and the federal government.
A couple comments. Let's see here. One Facebook user says, if they do it to one, they can do it to anyone when it comes to eminent domain, which is true. And Daryl says he's from the Healthy Computer, School Street, Jewett City. So what I'm getting at from this is that the land is priced too high and there is nothing we can do, so don't expect anything to change.
Well,
That's what he's getting out of this conversation.
Yeah. Well, look at the eminent domain fight that went on down. What was it? Was that in New London or which one of those?
It was New London, yeah.
Yeah, and they tore all this property down. And to my knowledge, at least until recently, all they did is tear it down. Nothing's happened down
Well,
there.
no, they put a traffic circle in because they increased traffic to Pfizer's.
Right.
And Pfizer's closed.
Oh, okay.
years
So
later.
we displaced all these people for nothing.
Nothing. You still want to put a grocery store in my house?
He wants you to.
Yeah, I would have to go far to shop, I guess. Put it in my pantry.
Well, then we did have another inquiry about market here in town. If I
Yeah,
remember correctly.
over the years, there's always an interest in, and Jim brought this topic up of rooftops. We're not too bad. If you look around, you go down to South Main Street, you got a ton of condos, and Jim owns one or two down here, and there's quite a few rooftops already in the area.
Mhm.
That's kind of like a excuse, okay? But the real factor that holds up the economic development is limited land and high prices of the land. That's what, in my opinion, holds up development.
Now there is a reasonably priced parcel in town here that's been on the market for quite some time, and it's not
Where's
moving.
that?
Huh?
Where's that?
It's out 138.
You talking about the old Hannah's Market?
No. I don't want to say specifically, but
You got to give us something, man. You got to some people want to know something. I mean,
Yeah.
they want to know something. They need a nugget because, and I'll be honest with you, and I understand you're saying nobody comes to the meetings. Nobody comes to the meetings, but I've been to meetings and I've listened to them and stuff like that. And I've pulled the audio, from the town hall, and it's like everything is so damn vague. Nobody says anything. And I think this is what pisses people off.
well,
Is that, huh?
they haven't come to? They had no
You don't
show.
have to. You can go to the meetings, but you can pull the audio from the town clerk. You don't know how many people are doing that or they're not doing it. But the thing is that I can tell you from mine is that it's vague. Nobody says anything, and everybody is worried about what's going on in this town because nobody says anything. Everything's danced around.
Well, that's not true with the Capital Improvement Committee. Okay,
I'm talking about Economic Development
All
Commission.
right.
I'm not talking about capital
okay,
improvement.
It sounded like you were talking about
Nope.
committees in general.
Nope. I was just talking. No, I mean, you can say the same thing for First Selectmen, or the Board of Selectmen, right? I mean, they're streamed.
Yep.
It's like there are meetings sometimes. Okay, we can sit there and watch, Jen Gauthier and Dana Bennett, put on a pair of boxing gloves, and box it out and stuff like that.
People bitch all the time about
Sorry,
the
Jen,
roads.
love you.
People bitch all the time about the roads. Okay.
Yep.
There's never anybody that shows up to take and support the Capital Improvement Committee.
Right, but I
about
don't
the
hear
roads.
that. I hear stuff about EDC specifically.
Yeah, well, I hear stuff about the road specifically.
You probably hear SNSN sucks too, but
No. I participated in SNN long before it was SNN.
Oh, it was Tom. But you see what I mean? A lot of
Right,
people,
yeah.
even here today, it's like this person, maybe this person. Give these people want something to hold on to, something to say, maybe a little hope, because for the last 2 years, there's been nothing. It's been nothing. Okay, it's like, oops, we're this close, but it didn't happen. This close to what?
Well, I think you correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but I think we're already out to bid for some of the infrastructure out on 164.
Yeah, right. The engineering cost had been completed. Behind the scenes, the town has, in conjunction with the Heritage River Village project, applied for the CIF, that's Community Investment Fund grant from the state. What I hear, it's very good chance it's going to be approved. So it's going to be somewhere in,
That's a significant amount of money.
yeah, it's going to be somewhere in about
18 million.
No, that was the one they turned down. This is going to be about 8.5 million. Now, what people don't really know, that behind the scenes is that it was applied for by the town of Griswold, because CIF money is only available to nonprofits or municipalities. Okay, you can't be a business and try to get that money. So Heritage River Village picked up the cost of the application. Significant, probably $30,000-$40,000 investment that they made so that the town could make the application. Because I'm guessing the town wouldn't spend $40,000 to get an application to put in the sewer line and water, infrastructure on 164. They did, but to their benefit, because once they get the water sewer down to their site, it makes their site much more viable. So when they start going out and getting their financial stacking in place, they can say, yeah, hey, the water, sewer, infrastructure, three-phase electric is here. It's already down. It's at our location. That is the big help for them. But that's not in general knowledge. There's a number of things that go on behind the scenes that you can't talk about. In other words, if a realtor calls me up and says, hey, I've got a customer wants to do this, wants to do something else. Do I sit in a meeting, EDC meeting, and say, hey, here's the guy coming in? No, most of them have non-disclosure agreements, whether written or verbal.
Right.
And
Which people you can't talk about it.
Right. They tell me, they say, this is between you and me. That's a developer, anybody, realtor.
Sure. No, I
So,
understand.
We can't really get out there and make it like glorified and exciting at an EDC meeting, because a good part of what we are privy to are non-disclosure.
Okay.
That's the bottom line.
Let's see. Matthew Palmer says they can't say too much information because if something has a potential buyer, but giving away the person's identity could backfire and cause the deal to fall through. And I understand that. But I think the problem is, Matthew, is that there has been too much time that has gone by where no information has really been given to the public. Nothing. We know nothing. And that's one of the biggest problems that we've had. I know just from, I'm just talking about people that come in, into this chat group,
Sure.
people that watch this show,
Yeah.
because people will watch the show, even though we're not live, it'll just keep happening. And the comments come in and it's like, we know nothing. We've been told nothing. And it's hard. It's really, really hard to vote for somebody or vote for whatever committee you want to talk about. I know you guys aren't voted in, but nobody's saying anything. You're not giving us anything. One guy here says, where is it? Why does it seem like Griswold can only build houses and apartments and nothing else? These are the comments that we're getting. Okay,
I hear that every day. You're not alone.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that nobody's getting it. These are the same. I've seen these questions over and over again that people aren't getting answers to. Okay.
Well, there aren't any. What do you want for an answer? What would, not you, but let's say, what type of answer would be make people happy, comfortable? Somebody tell me what the answer is.
So Mary Beth wants to know what's the cost. We did cover this earlier. I think she's probably just popping in. What's the cost of the water tower and where it'll be placed? It's like $6 million now, right?
That's the
Water
It's
tower.
up there.
Is that on Barber Road?
up in that area. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Here's another comment. And people say, "Oh, Minarski's a pain in the ass." All he does is bitch. I'm like, okay, no, I'm not. These are people that are in here doing this. If they're not coming to the meeting, they're coming here. If the land is priced too high, the town should then buy the land for the potential developer, sell the land to the developer at a lower price for the. I don't know if this makes any sense, Daryl. Developer, and then collect the tax money and future revenue to make the money back.
Sure. Why are the taxpayers going to take and put up money to buy a parcel of land
That's overpriced.
That's overpriced to benefit some private business? I mean, I would love somebody to take it.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Let me make this statement. The first time it goes to a referendum that says, okay, we want to spend, I'll take a number, $5 million on X amount of land. It's only worth $2 million, but we're going to spend the $5 million. It never gets approved. It goes down in flames because people just will not. The idea is great. In fact, I had, in private conversations, brought that up. I said, gee, why don't we buy X amount in this property over here and turn it into a business park?
Sure.
Okay, business park. Well, government, Griswold, town government officials, they look at me and say, no, never going to pass. Never going to pass. We can't get, going back to what Jim said earlier, we worked our butts off to get the referendum passed for, what was it? $7.5 million?
I think it was less than that, actually.
$6.5 million.
Six maybe.
And that was for infrastructure and the senior center. And two really good targets that we were shooting for. And we worked hard to get that passed. Turn around and you say, because we knew what the targets, we knew why we were doing it.
Sure.
Now you turn around and you say this, because what happens is, okay, let's say there's 100 acres and you want to spend $5 million because it's overpriced, but we're going to spend it anyway. And they go, well, what are you going to put there? Well, we don't know yet. That's the answer. we don't know yet. Well, what are we going to spend the money? And it just goes in a circle.
I remember at one meeting, Mike.
As vague as that sounds, it's fair.
Yeah.
I remember at one meeting that the audience was really against this referendum, but by the time we got through explaining it and the benefits of it, they had totally turned around.
Mm-hmm.
So if we hadn't been out there marketing it, that probably would never have happened.
Okay.
I mean, Tom and I and Paul Lack, we were out there probably 20 or more times at various meetings and
Different groups, different organizations in the community.
All I'm doing here is I'm relaying comments and stuff that
We understand that it's nothing personal.
No.
And from our perspective, when you hold EDC meetings, and here again I'll say, you can't talk that much about specific entities, people, businesses. You talk in general terms about what we potentially can do with the land we have and with the regulations. And Jim brought out that tax abatement. We passed that 10 years ago. And I think it's been used maybe once or twice for small projects.
It was going to be used for Bardia. Am I not mistaken for that?
Yeah, he would have had
The old wire wine?
a shot at it.
it's no guarantee.
Right. Let's see. Larry says, in this day and age, all these meetings should be an ability to either Zoom in or teleconference or whatever for the public. If they had comments or something, then they want to add. I mean, we're still in the Stone Age technology at this point. He continues to say, and when that the infrastructure is in place, it also makes the Stotts property or Ceruzzi property much more marketable, which is probably why they're asking. Price continues to grow. To keep
and he's absolutely correct, Mike. And if you think back when we were up in the old Jewett City Savings Bank studios, you and I and Ed Burdick had numerous conversations about trying to get that. There was I think it was PEG grant money that was available. We could have bought a lot of the equipment that we needed for the town and everything else. Just couldn't get it moved.
Like Matthew, he just says, I'm on board with it going digital. I will tell you, and Jim, you know this. I had the idea of streaming the meetings years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I even had the Board of Finance said, hey, give me a proposal. Never heard a word. Never heard a word.
Gave them
They asked me for it.
Yeah.
And whether it was too high or too low, they didn't say, hey, well, could we do this? Nope.
Yeah.
Not a word.
Yeah. Because I mean, a well-educated public is critical to having society function in an organized manner.
Daryl says, along with the tax breaks and stuff with the tax money, you could pitch that in 5 years, so you could make the money back plus some with, I guess, new businesses he's talking about. Jamie says the referendum passed. This is years ago. The infrastructure piece, overwhelmingly so. The people approved spending the money, and the project should have moved forward immediately. Yes, but then why? Because COVID.
Well, there was something else.
What else?
Yeah.
Why didn't it start?
Because there was, at that particular point, there was a hope for a lot of grant money, and so that the spending the approved money from the town was held back to see what would happen with that grant money.
They were running and in the same pace. You had the USDA money available, and you had the referendum money available. And I'll go back to a half hour ago when I said, what happens to politicians is anytime you want to spend town money, there's a segment of the population, the voters, that say, no, we don't want to do this. Okay. So the feeling was, let's get the free money. Some of it was grants and the low interest money from USDA. USDA's government agency takes forever for things to roll. And then the pandemic hit. So you had two bad situations. The lack of real, I'll say, backbone energy to use the money, the referendum money, when you could maybe get the money, some of it free, some of it low interest.
We can't we can't we can't go to referendum and get money based on the contingency of a grant.
We didn't.
No, but
The grants were already, I mean, the approvals for the money from the town was already in place.
Yes.
And we were starting down that road.
Yes.
And then then there's some grant money and some low interest money, as Tom just referred to, was on the horizon. So that slowed down using town money. I mean, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, Mike. If you spend the town money and then there's some grant
But it
money
was approved, was it not? The town money was approved. So why didn't we do it?
Am I going to spend my money if I can get some money from someplace else?
Well, do you think maybe they should have gone ahead and waited to see if the grant money was approved before it went to referendum?
We didn't. The grant money wasn't there when we went to referendum.
no, that wasn't on the table.
Wasn't on the table.
No.
All right, and then I'm really, really confused because if you go to referendum and it gets passed, then that's just the end of it. I'm thinking. So I don't know where the rest of this is coming in. So I don't
No, the rest of
understand.
it's coming in. Simply, the administration at that point
Said
not
we'll
to-
wait, maybe.
Wait. Yeah, it was
Okay.
their decision.
So Jamie said, and I agree with Jamie here. By waiting for possible grant money, it's now cost us significantly more money, and we've lost out on potential development in that time.
Absolutely
Can't-
right.
Can't argue with that statement.
Right,
No.
Jamie, you win the internet today.
Is that the Jamie we all know?
That's Jamie Eaton. Yes.
Good morning, Jamie.
Larry says, well, it's showing that by waiting as usual, it costs the taxpayers more in the end over time. And Mary Beth says, and I haven't even read this yet because I don't pre-read these comments. You know, these are what people are saying, and I don't edit them
Yep.
unless they're being jackwagons. So Mary Beth says, the problem is the taxpayers voted and approved, and the town did not move forward.
True.
You got it.
And Jamie says, oh, hi, Jim.
Good morning.
Told you I don't screen them. Paul Lack, as you say, Jim. That's Lash, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so if it's voted that we do it, we should have did it.
We don't control that.
I'm not
Tom.
saying you do.
Okay.
I know that's not you. I'm talking about, but it affects you. It affects your commission because now you're hoping for infrastructure that maybe something will get moving, or maybe the Stott property would go, or maybe Heritage River. You know, Heritage River would be much further along than it is, but it's not.
Right. We are.
Daryl says this is so frustrating. This is what we hear every day. Jim, you're here. You're here. You hear the comments.
Yeah.
You know, this is what we hear. And I'm not saying there's anything you can say right now, Tom, that will
No.
appease anybody.
I'm not trying to piece.
I know.
I'm
but
laying
I'm just
out
saying.
the factual. The factual thing is that we have had government officials, and God bless anybody who serves in government. You know, they're a warrior. You got to
Sure.
be.
Sure.
And I respect everybody that's ever held a title. But the fact is that when you are a government, town, whatever official, you are pulled many different ways.
Yep.
You try to make a lot of people happy. You
Yep.
try to better the environment, the tax base, and all of those things. It's a lot of, avenues that you can't fill all the gaps. You can't. It doesn't work that way.
And I'm just going to throw this out there too. A lot of this happened when COVID hit.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will go and say, well, COVID did this, COVID did that. The fact of the matter is, I feel, this is just my opinion, is that many towns, not just Griswold, were going up against an unknown. So it's like, you have all this economic development possibilities, and all of a sudden this black cloud comes that no one's ever seen before. And it's like, what do we do now? So it's kind of a waiting game. And this is where we're at now. So do you blame the government in the town, I think a lot of times they just didn't know what to do. You guys probably didn't know what to do. You had a
Mike-
lot of business people coming to town. You don't know what to do.
If I was sitting in the seat at that time, I would have made the same decision. Okay, that's me personally.
Sure.
Acting in the best interest of the town, I would have made the same decision. I would have sat on it.
I think there was, but I think there was just such a variable that people didn't know what the hell was going on.
That's because they were being lied to totally.
Okay. Well, okay. We're talking.
Yeah,
That's a different thing
another
altogether.
subject, yes.
I'm talking about the perception of what's happening in local towns and stuff like that, and what slowed it up. As much as we didn't know, I don't think the local governments really knew what to do either.
Yeah.
So now here we are.
Yep.
So on a national basis, that's a different story. Anyway, do you have anything else you want to close with, Mr. Girard? Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
you have the floor.
Yeah. Well, for everyone who's on board listening today, we are open for any and all suggestions, right, Jim?
Yes.
Ideas. I'll throw one out there. We have properties that are destitute properties. Go down 164 and you see houses, the Stott properties, Ruzi properties, but there's six structures that have fallen apart. You think that's a good invitation to anybody coming through our community? No, it looks like hell. It's a
does.
terrible representation. I complain to town government. Nobody does anything. Okay. So if you want to do something, let's get the town government to clean up our community. Let's make it more presentable. That in itself is a beginning to a positive, okay, hey, these people don't have these derelict buildings hanging all around. Can't get anybody to do anything.
Yeah.
And, the president, first selectman has come to our EDC meetings, and Jim knows, I put it out there. I go, hey, why can't we get, let's get the town to knock the building down, lien the property to get our money back.
Yep.
If they don't pay up the lien, we take the land, foreclose on the land.
Mm-hmm.
There's procedures that you can do, but going back, not only this administration, but Jesus, 20 years,
Sure.
nobody ever wants to be the bad guy. They don't want to, like I said earlier in the hour today, is that as soon as somebody gets in office, they begin thinking about the next election, and they don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize the next election.
Let me ask you
And that
and-
is problem.
And that's why we need term limitations starting at the federal government all the way down.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. So, I guess when you start talking about eminent domain and stuff like that, we're talking about a company that doesn't even live around here, has nothing to do. So what's the difference? I don't think anybody, if that went to referendum right now, I think, people would say, yeah, take it, clean it up, and do what you got to do.
no, yeah, no, we're not talking about eminent domain. We're talking about leaning the property.
Or doing that.
Yeah, but
That's not being the bad guy.
no, that's cleaning up your community.
Yes.
The argument can be made that those buildings that are standing there are a danger to the public.
They are.
Okay. You get some kids in there playing around, and one of the buildings comes tumbling down. and
You
man,
fall
that-
right through the floor.
There's going to be a massive lawsuit. Yeah, it's a blight
Yeah.
issue
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Right.
So why don't we do it? What's holding us back? What's stopping us from leaning the property and then doing what we got to do to clean
You
it
have
up?
to have a stomach to do that.
I think you're asking the wrong people, Mike.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Yeah. You have to have a stomach.
And I realize that, and I know you guys only have a certain amount of stroke in the town, with what you can do and what you can't do.
All we can do is make recommendations.
Got it. So I hope you guys didn't feel like you were beat up too much, because I know it's not you. You guys can only do certain things.
And I don't have any problem with the comments that the public was making.
Oh, and neither do I.
We agree with their comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the EDC, I don't know if you saw the nice sign up in Buttonwoods, welcome to Griswold. Did you see it?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Going
Tell
into
me about
the
it, John.
Sunflower Festival that they put on up there. Okay. There's a nice sign that says, welcome to Griswold, Sunflower Capital of New England. Big sign.
Yep.
okay, right on private property, on Buttonwood's property. And, the point, and that was the EDC's project. Okay. We have several more signs that over the course of time are going to be placed in entries to the town, main arteries. Okay, that's something that we did.
Yes.
We don't have a budget either of any significance.
Weird, because I was just going to say, and I was going to actually end with this comment from Matthew. It says, do the taxpayers want to pay more taxes and increase the EDC budget? The EDC budget is ready. Get this, guys. $3,000. Norwich's EDC budget is $656,000 and Norwood $656,179.
Right.
They have a little more development than we do.
They also have a mill rate of 42. So
Yeah.
here you go.
It's all a trade-off.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on in. I appreciate it. I think you guys expected that you're probably going to get beat up a little bit.
The opportunity to reach out to the community is great. They don't know what we know, what the obstacles that the community faces. Opportunity to come in. I hope I can come back again.
And
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming in.
And the other thing is, all of this is a very time-consuming. I know it's time-consuming for us, but more than that, from the time somebody gets interested to the time you finally get there, that's not weeks or months; it's years.
It is. Jim, thank you very much. We'll see you around soon. Tom, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The Economic Development Commission here in Griswold, we appreciate your time. If you did not get a chance to see all of the show, please go ahead, and once we're done, you can rewind it and skip through it and watch the parts that you want to watch. So anyway, thank you very much, everyone, and we will see you tomorrow. We'll be back on with Paul Lash. And tomorrow, big day, it's the grand opening of the multi-purpose athletic field complex at Griswold High School. We're going to be carrying the game, which of course will be Griswold against East Catholic. The game starts at 6:30, but the pregame festivities will start at 6:15 with a ribbon cutting and some boom fireworks, from what I understand. So we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much from all of us here at SNSN.
With a fast pay or easy pay refinance mortgage from Jewett City Savings Bank, you may be able to lower your rate or shorten your term, saving you money over the life of your loan. To give your current mortgage a refresh, stop by your nearest branch or visit us at jcsbank.com to apply online. We make that fast and easy too. Jewett City Savings Bank. Your life, your bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
My name's Rich Grabowski. I am the Democratic nominee for the position of selectman here in Griswold for the coming election on November 7th.
And I'm Tina Falk, candidate for first selectman for the town of Griswold, endorsed by the Democratic Town Committee. We are committed to easing stress on Griswold's children, family, and seniors by working hard to obtain development, grants, and fiscal responsibility.
We are the team that will restore unity in our community.
And most of all, don't forget to vote on November 7th.
Paid for by the Griswold Democratic Town Committee. Linda Cody, treasurer.
Hi, I'm Miranda Mahoney from Griswold Pride. Are you a current substance user or care about someone who is? We are losing more and more people every day. It's time we started using new ideas and resources to keep our loved ones alive. You can keep you or your loved one alive by never using alone, carrying Narcan, and using fentanyl testing strips. Griswold Pride and Matt's Mission are here to support all of you. Using harm reduction supplies can and will keep you alive. Contact us on our websites or social media, griswoldpride.org and mattsmission.net. Remember, you're not alone.